Today I'm going to talk about the reason that you haven't found the success that you've been looking for. Now, that introduction was directly aimed at myself, but really, uh, if it hit you, it didn't mean to miss you. All right? And so, one thing that I'm going to talk about today is something that I think is a fairly common problem in society right now. Um, it's a problem where a lot of unhappiness, a lot of jealousy comes from. It can turn into resentment, it can turn into bitterness. And trust me, I've been there. It's not a pleasant experience. In fact, I don't know if you've listened to the last episode, but I was talking to Nick and we were talking about the first time that we met. And I said, at that point, I was pretty resentful. I was pretty sarcastic. I was cynical. And I was like, I don't know if you noticed that when you met me. And he was like, yeah, I noticed that. And so that was a little bit of it hurt a little bit that I was that way at one time. And it's just a good thing that we can change and that we can make things better and that we can actually uh, change the way we treat people, the way we think, the way that we do things. And so that's what we're trying to do here. On the Merchandise Show, we are trying to get you in the right mindset to have your own business or your own nonprofit, the thing that's going to bring you more fulfillment and to make you happier. And so that is our goal here. Hence the tagline, mind your own business. All right. So there are many ways that someone could describe this problem, but I guess probably the simplest way that I would describe it is just like a lack of patience. And, for myself, when I started my business and when I was trying to get into this thing, I was trying to be an entrepreneur and the whole sexy thing was like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to kick butt and I'm going to get to the top all by myself, and I'm going to grind. And when things get hard, I'm going to grind harder until I find success, right? And it really did not turn out that way. And part of the reason is well, number one, I don't think that anybody's going to grind their way to the top all by themselves. I really think that they're going to need help along the way. And you can debate me on that. You can leave your comments down below and tell me where I'm wrong on that point. But second of all, I just was not patient enough. I did not look at this whole thing as like a process of refining me and making me a better person, making me a better entrepreneur. I just looked at entrepreneurship as a way to make a bunch of money, which is totally wrong. And so, mindset, very, very important when it comes to entrepreneurialism or entrepreneurialism. We might just be making up words on the podcast at this point. I really, really, really did not want to endure the process of finding success. And I was just talking with somebody about this the other day. He was spelling some things out for me, and he said, it's the process. You're on a journey. You're walking down this path. You have to stay on the path, and eventually you will find that success, but you have to stay on the path. And I told him, I said, I don't like paths. I don't like walking on the path. It's hard. There's things that come up, and I don't want to experience these things. I don't want to go through all of this. But John Maxwell talked about it I went to an event where John Maxwell was speaking, and he was talking about the power of process. And that's what is the power of process, is like taking you down that path, and you have all of these different experiences and you learn all of these different lessons. And it's a very, very powerful thing for somebody to go through, because I believe, especially for myself, like coming down this entrepreneurial path, I believe it is just making me a better person, all through the power of process. But naturally, I don't like that. I don't like the whole thing of like, oh, I got to go through a process. I got to go through years. I got to go through a certain amount of time of doing this before I will find success. I'm very, very impatient. And I think that something that probably doesn't help me at all is that I try to rationalize that impatience with the fact that I have a wife and I have kids. I got bills to pay. My thinking is like I can't just be patient, let my wife and my kids go hungry, right? I need to pay the rent. I got bills to pay. I got things to do. And all of these points seem very, very valid, but maybe the kids, maybe the wife, maybe all of the overwhelming bills and all of that stuff, maybe that's the very, very reason why I need to stick to it and endure all of those hard things, is so that one day, when I find success, I won't have to worry about all of those things. If I were the only person that I compared myself to, I really, really don't think that the whole power of process would be like such a hard thing for me to like digest or to ascribe to. I think it'd probably just be happy, just kind of accept it, just kind of move through the different stages of the process. But the problem is I get into the mode of like comparing myself to somebody else, looking at their success. Um, Tom Magliozzi, I don't know. Maybe that was very racist to do that with with an Italian sounding name. But Tom Magliozzi once said that happiness is life minus expectations. And so I think probably one of my biggest problems is like I go into something, whether it's starting a business, whether it's a relationship with somebody, maybe it's something else. I go in with all of these expectations of what is this actually going to be like. And when it doesn't turn out like I thought it was going to, I get grumpy. I get discouraged. I start focusing on all of my little problems around me instead of keeping focused on my dream, which is a whole nother subject, maybe for another time. Hopefully, we can get somebody on here to talk over that type of stuff with us. But I think this is where like a lot of our impatience comes from. We have these expectations and we're trying to make our business or we're trying to make whatever we're working on, we're trying to make it reach the expectations that we have for it. And I'm not going to sit here and like say that all of this comes from social media. Like, okay, boomer, right? I feel like that drum, I feel like everybody beats that drum. Oh, it's all social media's fault, right? Oh, social media, we just go on there and we just show the best things about our lives. We don't show the bad things. We just show the best things, and that makes everybody else unsatisfied and ungrateful for what they have. And I think that there is a problem there. But if we're going to be really, really honest, jealousy, um, discontentment, all of these things, those things were a problem a long time before social media came onto the scene. And so maybe social media magnified it a little bit, maybe made it more in your face, but I don't think that social media is the problem. I think we as humans get discouraged and we get discontented very, very easy, ungrateful. So with social media and stuff, it's easier to get jealous, but the problem goes way beyond social media. I think that the jealousy comes from the concept that Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan talk about in The Gap in the Gain. Now, I've never read this book, okay? I have read or listened to, I do Audible. I have listened to 10x is Easier Than 2x, which was a phenomenal book, and I should probably go back and read it again, listen to it again. But the jealousy comes from a concept that they talk about in there, which is focusing more on the gap than focusing on the gain. And that's where people get jealous. Because when you focus on the gap, what you're looking at is the distance between where you currently are versus where you want to be. I guess where you are versus where you want to be. And this just breeds discontentment because no matter what goals we reach, no matter what we acquire, no matter what we're doing with our lives, we're probably always going to want a little bit more. And if we sit there and we focus about how much we want those things and we just want it so bad, and focusing on a goal is not a bad thing, but just feeling distant from the things that we really, really want really, really breeds discontentment. And I'm not real good at the whole visualization thing, like feeling that like I've already got it and things like that. It's something that I work on. It's something that I try to do every day. Um, but just just with the gap and the gain here, really, really focusing on the distance between where you are to where you want to be, focusing on that distance and like all the things that are going to have to be done and all the things that are going to have to be happen. It's very, very discouraging and it can breed discontentment. Now, focusing on the gain, there's two parts to this, the gap and the gain. Focusing on the gain basically is looking at the distance between where you started to where you are now. And focusing on that will give you a sense of accomplishment and will help you see progress. There's a sense of pride there because you started here and maybe you've made it this far, or maybe you started here and you made it that far. And looking at those accomplishments and focusing on those accomplishments and like what went right in this area and so on and so forth, focusing on that. And I guess if you're a praying man or a religious person, you can give thanks for all of that progress. I guess if you're not, you can give yourself a pat on the back, but I am a praying man, and so I would give thanks for all of that stuff. And focusing on all of those times that you know that God has been good to you or good things that have happened to you, being grateful for those things, focusing on those accomplishments and moving forward with the confidence that good things are going to continue to happen to you. That is where accomplishment and contentment come from. And I think that that can be a very, very good anecdote or cure for being jealous or being discontented. Um, Now, when we talk about focusing on the gap, I really, really just mean the gap. I don't mean don't look at your goals. I don't mean don't dream big. Don't dream about things that you think might be slightly out of your reach or anything like that. What I'm telling you to not focus on is the distance between you and the things that you really, really want. There's a difference there, and I hope you caught it. If not, leave a comment down below. We'll get it figured out somehow. Now, we talked a little bit about this before, but like the whole thing of expectations, I think one of my biggest issues is when I come into, either starting a company or, starting something up and trying to get it off the ground, trying to be successful, trying to find some level of success. One of my biggest issues is constantly looking at where I expected to be versus where I actually am. And that's why Mr. Magliazzi, or whatever his name was, that's why he said happiness is life minus the expectations. Just 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 lose the expectations if this is new to you and you're trying to figure something out, keep an open mind and lose the expectations. You will be a lot happier. One of my biggest things is like you you get into a or you start a company, all right? You start doing something, and maybe you've seen people online doing it. Maybe you've seen the Instagram coaches doing it, and you start doing it, you're trying to figure it out. Maybe you get a coach, maybe you get a mentor, maybe you're trying to figure all this out. And you see all of these people around you that are doing it and they're finding success and they're making money and they're doing all this stuff. But you're not finding that level of success. I guess one of the things for me is like I just expected to be like them, but here I am over here. I'm on the struggle bus. I'm not making as much money. I've got more problems than these people. My situation is different. So I can't find the same level of success. Or maybe it's going to take me longer to find that level of success. And that can lead somebody to think about, like, why is it that some people can find success doing the exact same thing as me? They can find success a lot faster than I can. How is it that it just seems like some people, everything they do just turns to gold right away? And please tell me that I'm not the only one that thinks that way or has had that thought. Now, somebody did give me uh, a piece of advice. I'm going to drop this piece of knowledge on you. And this person that gave it to me was a very successful person, and he elaborated on this point a little bit. And I thought it was very, very good and something that I wish somebody would have told me back when I started my company, which is basically what this channel just is just me talking to the younger me. And if anybody is finding um, any help or any advice that speaks to you, um, I, I I'm glad, because I want to talk to the people that are in that same situation that I was in when I started my company. But the piece of advice, the piece of knowledge that this guy gave me was, there is a set price on success. Success has a price tag. It doesn't matter what you do for work, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Success has a price tag. And if anybody wants to find success, they must pay that price. It doesn't matter if you're young or old. It doesn't matter if you're skinny or overweight. It doesn't matter if you're ugly or attractive. Everyone must pay that price of success. Now, here's the kicker, and this is where, we get so messed up in our thinking and we can get so in our heads and stuff, is like, some people pay that price early in life. They pay the price of success early. Maybe it's 15, maybe it's 16, maybe it's 18 or 20, somewhere in there. And then some people, they don't pay that price till later on in life. They don't learn those skills. They don't learn those lessons. They don't learn all of these different things that it takes in order for someone to be successful. And here's the sad thing, is some people may never, ever pay the price of success. And they may never find it because they never paid the price for it. But every person that wants something specific, or maybe just wants a better than average life, there will be a price of success that needs to be paid. Now, let's just talk about a hypothetical situation here. Let's say you and your buddy are going to start your own businesses, and you start businesses in the same industry providing the same product or service. Let's say your business struggles, and after 3 years, you finally get your business operating in an orderly manner. Customers are coming in on a regular basis, customers are happy, you have all the right tools for the job, you have this, you have that, you have referrals, you have word of mouth, you have good marketing in place, all of that stuff. And finally, after 3 years, your business is flowing like you thought it would when you started the company. But let's say your friend's business just takes off in the first 6 months and he sees success very early on. What's the difference? You guys are in the same area, providing the same product or service, and it started at the exact same time. And for one of you, it took 3 years. For the other person, it only took 6 months. I think the difference between those two businesses is the fact that your friend either paid the price of success in those first 6 months. Maybe he was working harder than you. Maybe he was hustling. Maybe he was out there just doing everything possible to find success early. Or maybe he had a different job or a different experience in life that actually taught him some valuable lessons, and he was able to pay the price of success earlier on before he even started the business. It easily could be. As for you, let's just imagine like this is a hypothetical situation. But let's just say this is your first business. This is the first time you've ever started anything. You haven't paid the price of success yet. Maybe you came into this like I did, expecting this to be easy, expecting it to be a fast way to make a buck, things like that. You had all of these expectations. That's why you started this business. And boom, it didn't work out like you thought because you hadn't paid the price of success yet. There is a price tag on success, and everyone must pay that price tag if they are to achieve success. Going through those 3 years, of your business struggling, overcoming all the struggles and all the doubts and all the fears, um, if you would do that for 3 years and then find success, well, you could just assume that those doubts, those fears, those struggles that you had in the first 3 years, that was the price of success that you had to pay. I feel like I'm repeating myself and getting a little bit blurry here, kind of off subject, but I think you get the point. But here's the comforting thing about this. If you think about it, like, there is a set price tag on success, and all I have to do is work, show up every day. I just have to work, work, work. I just have to pay the price. And when I do pay the price, um, finally, I'm going to find that success. It's going to take off for me. The comforting part about this is like, there is a set amount of work, there is a set price tag to all of this. And once that's paid for, you're going to find success. And I really think that, like, that's why people that do, or that maybe are more entrepreneurial minded, or they might start 2 or 3 businesses and they might not find success until the third business, and then that takes off for them. And the thing about entrepreneurs is I found, like, a lot of them, they don't just stick with one company. Like, once they have one up and going, then they usually start another one, and usually the second one goes way better for them than the first 2 that they started that failed. And I really think that that price of success was paid with those first 2 failed businesses, and now they know what it takes to run a company. They know what it takes to build a business, and they know how to do it successfully because they paid that price of success. But the comforting thing to me is, I haven't found that level of success that I want yet, but there's a price tag, it's a set amount. It's the price is not going to keep going up. It's a set amount, and I just have to keep working. I have to keep showing up every day and paying that price of success. It takes time and patience, which is what we talked about in the beginning, something that our society does not have a lot of. TikTok brain, I think they call it. Now, I might be way off. Okay, this is me musing, talking to a camera, and I could be way off in all of my thinking and my mindset. And if you have any thoughts, or if you think I'm wrong, you can leave them down in the comments, and maybe we'll address them on a later episode. Maybe I'll even invite you on and we can have a debate. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Oh, by the way, if there is anybody that you would like to see on this podcast, please comment it down below. I would love to have more suggestions for guests. We will be having more guests here soon. I'm sorry that you guys just have to listen to me all the time, but I am having fun doing this. And if I can't find guests, then you guys are just stuck listening to me. And I appreciate the people that did actually stick through it and listen to the entire episodes of just me rambling. Anyway, oops, just kicked my camera here. All right. Now, I asked myself when I was studying for this podcast, it's like, how do we be patient while we wait, or while we pay the price of success? Now, you might notice a little bit of shift in the type of content that we make going forward. And the reason for this is, like, I was at a real estate event recently that was put on by Life Surge, and the event was called Real Estate Surge. It's like a 3-day thing where they teach you how to do real estate, give you different strategies, give you different options about how to get into the industry. Okay, but like one of their main goals is to help Christian people become more entrepreneurial. Now, I am trying to encourage people to become more entrepreneurial. And I don't know what it was exactly about the whole messaging, but they are trying to help God's people become more entrepreneurial, people of faith and Christian people. And that's what I want too. And so my podcast might actually start heading a little bit down that direction. I don't know if that sits well with all of you, but I don't really care. So we're just going to keep plugging away with this. But back to the question. How do we be patient while we pay the price of success or while we wait? And I was recently reading through the book of Job, okay? And I'm not here to preach a sermon. I'm not here to just read a whole bunch of scriptures to you, but these passages, just going through the stage of life that I'm at currently, hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows, you could say, but I'm learning to be happy in the midst of all of that. But some verses that really, really spoke to me in the book of Job. I think everybody knows the story of Job. If you don't, he was a very rich man, and basically, in a very, very short amount of time, all of his riches and all of the things that he held near and dear, most everything was wiped out. Anyway, in Job 2, 9 and 10, it says, his wife said to him, are you still trying to maintain your integrity? Curse God and die, because all of his things have been wiped out, right? And Job replied, he said, you talk like a foolish woman. Should we accept only good things from the hand of God and never anything bad? So in all of this, Job said nothing wrong. Now that verse spoke to me so, so clear, because I can get into this mode of just like shaking my fist at the sky, like, God, like, man, I've worked so hard and I've put hours and blood and sweat and tears into this certain project, and it hasn't worked out for me. Why? But I really believe that God's plan for my life is way bigger and better than than a plan that I could come up for myself. It goes way beyond things that I could come up with and imagine. It's way greater than that. And trust me, I really looking at all of the work that I've put in, and let's just say it would start to pay off, or when it starts to pay off, like I am going to be more than willing to accept the income that it provides me. I'm going to accept the support that it affords me. All of these things, when I have paid the price of success and I start to find that level of success that I'm looking for, and I start to experience abundance and all of these other things, I am ready for that. I'm ready for that now. I'm looking for that now. But if I am willing to accept all of those good things from God, then why in the world, or who do I think I am to reject all of the things that I would call bad in my life? Like maybe not having a lot of money, like maybe being in a place of need, or not having support for some of the things that I do. You know, I honestly think that a lot of these things that I'm walking through are just part of the price of success that I have to pay. I need to be happy with less money. I need to be happy with less support. And I need to be happy in a place of need. Now, do I think I'll always be here? No, but I really think that God is walking me through these things in order to, like we said before, I mentioned earlier in the episode, I really think He's walking me through these things to get me into the mindset, to get me into the place, or prepare me for when He does bless me with abundance and money and these other things. And I just think that these times of lack, or these times when I don't have a lot going on, or it seems like I don't have a lot going for me, I just have to accept these times as a time of learning and a time of growing. And a lot of times when I'm experiencing hard things in my life, I just ask, like, God, what are you trying to teach me? Please teach me something today. I don't know if you've ever asked God to do that, but spoiler alert, he usually does. Actually, he always does, but it's really up to us on whether we're paying attention enough to actually get what he's trying to teach us. And sometimes that takes, breaking us down in order to build us back up. And I really think that that's what God's doing with my life right now. But that's just me. That's my faith. If you don't ascribe to it, sorry. But I'm just going to say it. Later in Job 23:10, and this is kind of where I get the philosophy of what I just said. This is Job talking. He says, "But he knows where I am going, and when he tests me, I will come out as pure as gold." So, why haven't you found success yet? Frankly, or why haven't I found? Or why haven't I found success yet? It's because I haven't paid the price. Maybe you haven't paid the price. But like we said before, all we got to do is keep showing up every day, putting the work in, and paying that price of success. There's going to be a day when it all takes off for us in big ways. And when that day arrives, we'll be ready for it because we've paid that price and we have done the things that are necessary in order to reach that level of success. Now, again, if I got any of this stuff wrong, please leave your comments down below. And thank you for listening. This is the end of the episode. If you like what you saw or what you listened to, please subscribe here on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out over on Instagram and TikTok. And remember, as always, mind your own business.